Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Cooper. I'm the president of the Chicago Police Board, and I'm calling the board's January 16th, 2025 public meeting to order. We thank CAN-TV, as always, for covering this meeting. It is being live streamed at cantv.org and on the CAN-TV app, and it's also televised on CAN-TV 27. Along with myself, we have the following board members attending in person this evening: Board Member Claudia Badillo, new Board Member Tyler Hall, Board Member Catherine Liss, new Board Member Arlette Porter, Board Member Andreas Safakis, Board Member Justin Terry, and new Board Member Cynthia Velasquez. Board Member Stephen Block is unable to attend this meeting in person and would like to attend remotely. Is there a motion to permit him to do so?
So moved.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Hearing all ayes and seeing all hands raised, the motion passes. In addition to the police board members, we have the following city officials here with us this evening. We have the first Deputy Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, Mr. Ephraim Eady, who's representing Chief Administrator Andrea Kirsten. We have the Deputy Inspector General for Public Safety, Ms. Tobara Richardson. We have the Chief of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, Ms. Yolanda Talley. We have the General Counsel to the Superintendent, Mr. Scott Spears. And we also have with us the Police Board's Executive Director, Mr. Max Caproni. Before we proceed to the items on the meeting agenda, I want to welcome 3 new police board members to their first public meeting. Yesterday, the City Council approved the appointments of Tyler Hall, Arlette Porter, and Cynthia Velasquez to the board. I would just ask at this time for each of them to provide a brief introduction as we welcome them to the board. Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Kyle. What I'd like to say, I feel honored to be appointed to this board. It's been a wild less than 36 hours since the confirmation. I've had the opportunity to meet my fellow board members. Brief background about myself. Currently, I'm a senior advisor with Downing Community Advisors. We're a small municipal advisory firm. But prior to that, I was the assistant village manager for the Village of Homewood. In that role, one of the kind of duties I had was staff liaison to the Board and Fire Police Commissioners. And prior to that role, I was a management analyst for the Arlington Heights Police Department. I did a lot of work with grants, special projects, and CALEA accreditation. And then prior to that, I was a crime analyst and accreditation manager for the City of Highland Park. In that role, I did focus primarily on CALEA accreditation. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm looking forward to the work that the police board does.
Thank you, Tyler.
Hi, I'm Arlette Porter, and I am born, raised, and bred right here in Chicago. I attended Coleman Elementary School and DuSable High School. I currently reside in the 9th Ward. I am also a sole practitioner in the area of domestic relations, which is family law, child support, divorces, things of that nature. I also run a Christian Fellowship League, which is a volleyball, basketball league. We occupy at least 200 young people and young adults every Saturday night playing basketball and volleyball on the south side of Chicago from October to about March. I am also a panel member for the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, which is essentially the policing agency for attorneys. I am honored and consider it a privilege to be a member of this Chicago Police Board, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Arlette.
Hi, my name is Cindy Velasquez. It's an honor to be able to serve the board and serve the city and the police department and its officers. I'm a retired deputy chief from a suburban agency. Some of my assignments throughout my 29-year career were internal affairs, ran the investigations unit. I was also the overall commander for our county task force. I also served in the United States Army, and I have 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters who live in the city, which motivates my drive to serve the city.
Thank you very much, Cindy. We will now turn to the items on the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve the drafts of the minutes of the board's public and closed meetings held on December 19th, 2024?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Seeing all hands raised and hearing all ayes, the motion passes. The next regular public meeting of the Police Board will take place on Thursday, February 20th at 7:30 p.m. And that meeting will take place where all the Police Board meetings are, which is right here at the Chicago Public Safety Headquarters. The next item on the agenda is closed meetings. The Police Board meets in executive session to discuss various matters. Those discussions are closed to the public as authorized by Section 2C1, 4, 11, and 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Information on matters discussed in the executive sessions is included in the minutes of the meetings posted on our website. Is there a motion to close a series of future executive sessions as authorized by these sections of the Open Meetings Act?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Seeing all hands raised and hearing all ayes, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is police disciplinary cases. The Police Board hears cases when the superintendent files charges recommending that sworn officer be discharged from the Chicago Police Department for violating the Chicago Police Department's rules of conduct. The board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has discussed in a closed meeting one police disciplinary case. We will now take final action on that case. Regarding case number 23 PB 3035, is there a motion to find Sergeant Timothy Conlon not guilty of failing to report misconduct and making a false charge?
Yes, so moved.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Board Member Badillo.
Aye.
Board Member Liss. Board Member Safakis.
Aye.
Board Member Terry. I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are Board Members Badillo, Liss, Safakis, Terry, and myself. The motion passes by a vote of 5-0. Board Member Block, who's on the phone with us tonight, recused himself from this case to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest. Board Member Hall, Porter, and Velasquez did not participate in this case because they joined the board yesterday. Is there a motion to adopt the written findings and decisions that have been reviewed by all members who participated in deciding the case?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing no hands and hearing no noes, the motion passes. The written findings and decision will be entered as of today's date, sent to the parties, and then posted on the Police Board's website. The next item on the agenda is an update on arbitration. As I reported last month, this case is currently before the appellate court and has been fully briefed, while we are still waiting to hear whether the court will hold oral arguments. There are 16 cases currently before the board in which the accused officer has requested arbitration. These cases are on hold, and there will be no arbitration hearings until the establishment of a public arbitration process, and there will be no police board hearings without the consent of the accused officer. There are now 5 cases before the board that are moving forward. 4 involve police officers who have elected to have a police board hearing, and 1 involves a Chicago Police Department supervisor. The police board's website, chicago.gov/police board, will continue to keep the public informed of any new developments in the ongoing litigation and the status of disciplinary cases currently before the board. With that being said, I encourage members of the public to check the news and police discipline section of our website for the most current information. The next item on the agenda is appeals by disqualified applicants to become Chicago police officers. When a person who applies to become a Chicago police officer is disqualified and removed from the eligibility list due to the results of a background investigation, that person has a right to appeal to the police board. The board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has discussed in a closed meeting several appeals. We will now take final action on these appeals. Is there a motion to affirm the disqualification decision for the following appeals? 24 AA54, 58, 60, and 61.
Yes, so moved.
I will now call on the members of the board for their vote. Board Member Badillo?
Aye.
Board Member Block?
Aye.
Board Member Liss? Board Member Safakis?
Aye.
Board Member Terry?
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion, and the motion passes. The written decisions of these appeals will be entered as of today's date, sent to the parties, and posted on the board's website. Please note that new board members Hall, Porter, and Velasquez did not participate in deciding these cases. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's request for the board's authorization to solicit funds to cover the cost of hosting CPD's annual police recognition ceremony and luncheon in May of 2025. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's request?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing all hands raised and hearing no noes, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is I will share a presentation of the goals that I recently submitted to the CCPSA, or the City's Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. And that presentation for those in the room and watching on CAN TV will also be displayed on a television screen that we have in the room that our Executive Director, Mr. Max Caprone, will operate. Section 2-84-030 of the Municipal Code of Chicago grants the Police Board the power to adopt the rules and regulations for the governance of the Chicago Police Department. The rules and regulations establish the general goals and duties of CPD members, set forth the rules of conduct for every officer that is required to follow. Examples of rules of conduct are prohibitions on police officers' use of excessive force, unjustified use of a weapon, making false statements, and failing to report misconduct. The rules and regulations are separate and apart from the CPD general orders and other directives that govern the day-to-day operations of the Chicago Police Department. The current version of the rules and regulations was adopted in the 1970s, with one new section only added in 1998 and very minor revisions made in 2021. Reviewing and updating the rules and regulations is necessary to ensure that they align with the principles of 21st century policing. Before the actual work of updating the rules begins, however, stakeholders will have the opportunity to provide input on both the substance of the rules and the proposed rules themselves. This preliminary phase ensures that all stakeholders, Chicago police officers, community members, and other members in the police accountability system are well informed about how the rules will work and how they will proceed and how they will be engaged throughout the process. So for 2025, I have submitted to CCPSA my goal for this year, which is to hold listening sessions with stakeholders to discuss their views on areas for proposed changes and a process for undertaking the review of the rules that govern the Chicago Police Department. As part of this, I will develop a process for reviewing and updating the rules and regulations, and we will undertake a comprehensive review to determine which existing rules and regulations need revision and to identify new rules and regulations that should be implemented. Just so everybody is aware, stakeholders include a menagerie of interested parties: the mayor, the deputy mayor for community safety, members of the city council, leadership of the Chicago Police Department, COPA, the Office of the Inspector General, CCPSA, the law department, and leadership of the unions representing members of the Chicago Police Department, district council members, consent decree monitor and Office of the Attorney General, community members, and members of the public. I want to emphasize that the goals for this year are the first step in what will admittedly be a very lengthy and complex process that will involve input from a diverse group of stakeholders. After the board conducts its review, and after thoroughly considering the feedback received from stakeholders, I will discuss next steps with the full board and provide a report to CCPSA, stakeholders, and the public. If later steps include drafting a new version of the rules and regulation, the board will follow the processes for providing notice and receiving comments required by the consent decree and the board's own rules. At this time, I would like to call on I'd like to call on the Chief Administrator, or first Deputy Chief Administrator, Edie, to give the COPA Administrator report.
Thank you, President Cooper, and good evening to everyone. My name is Ephraim Edie. I serve as First Deputy Chief Administrator for COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. For the month of January so far in 2025, COPA has received 301 complaints and notifications. 76 of those fall within COPA's jurisdiction, and the rest have been referred to the Bureau of Internal Affairs. We have been notified of 2 officer-involved shootings in the month of January. And now I will also provide an update of materials that have been released from the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. In the month of December, COPA released 2 video and material releases pertaining to officer-involved shooting. One located at near 300 West Division Street, and the other near 6800 North Washtenaw. Those were released in the month of December, video and materials. On January 14th, COPA released materials related to a November 16th officer-involved shooting incident near 50 West Polk. And on January 16th, just today, COPA released video and materials pertaining to a off-duty officer-involved shooting at near 5600 West Leland. On January 3rd, an officer-involved shooting occurred that has had many concerns from community members. And so on January 14th, myself as First Deputy Chief Administrator, as well as our Chief Administrator, Andrew Kirsten, met with concerned community members. In attendance to that meeting was District Council member from the 10th District, representatives from the Alderwoman's office of Monique Scott, the 24th Ward, community activists, and community leaders and residents of the Albany Terrace Senior Apartments. We thought it was important to hear the concerns and explain the process that COPA will take. COPA responded within about an hour of being notified of that incident on January 3rd and met with community members just this past Tuesday. I'll finalize my remarks this evening by also mentioning that we are finalizing our 2025 goals and working with the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. We have already presented a draft of those goals and had meetings, and look forward to finalizing those goals and presenting them publicly to the Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, First Deputy Chief Administrator Eady. At this time, I'd now like to call on Chief of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, Ms. Yolanda Talley, to give the superintendent's report.
Good evening. As we move forward into 2025, we are continuing to build on the progress we made last year to reduce the shootings and homicides citywide. Last year, we worked to quickly respond to active crime patterns and emerging public safety concerns. We focused on strategic responses, and that's what we will continue to do this year. Though we made progress in 2024, we can't remain stagnant in how we are addressing public safety. We must continuously adapt our responses to what we are actively seeing. Our area deputy chiefs and district commanders are always adjusting their plans to strengthen safety in our communities and meet the needs of our residents. While our officers work to maintain safety on the ground, our Bureau of Detectives is working to bring justice to those who have been affected by violence. All of us at the Chicago Police Department understand that the survivors of crime and the families of homicide victims will forever live with the trauma they have experienced. Supporting them is equally as important as bringing justice in their cases. This year, we are expanding our victim services and will have a greater capacity to serve domestic violence and non-fatal shooting survivors. Our Family Liaison Office remains focused on serving the loved ones of homicide victims through regular engagements. Earlier this week, the Family Liaisons officers attended a training that included family members of victims to support them with additional service resources to best support the families. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Talley. At this time, I'm going to call on members of the public who have signed up to speak to give their public comment. I would just ask that, in keeping with the board's rules, that you limit your comments to 2 minutes each. So the first member of the public who signed up to speak this evening is Mr. Otis Buckley.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I was looking forward to seeing the police chief here, because I went on your website and it said that the police chief was required to be here. So I'm a little bit disappointed that he's not here, but that's neither here nor there. I'm here to reach out to the police board to let you guys know that I am the president and founder of Total Blackout for Reform. 2014, 15, and 16, we led the largest boycott that America has ever seen when we boycotted this country to bring about justice to stop the police from murdering black and brown people. We did that in 2014, 15, and 16. But I'm here today to reach out to the police to ask you to work with me. I want to work with you. I want to join forces with you. I don't want to work against you. I want to work with you, because there is something out there right now that endangers our entire planet. It's called the Human Connectome Project. It's a public program that very few people know about. It's called the Human Connectome, CONNECTCOME, the Human Connectome Project. It's where they take and make digital copies of a human's brain. They take all 80 billion neurons of the human brain and make a digital copy of that human. That digital copy does not have weight, it does not have mass, it does not have a body. It is identical to a spirit. They are taking human beings and turning human beings into human spirits. And those human spirits, they want to put those human spirits into robots or into nanobots within another human being's body. They want to guide that human. They want to nudge that human and tap on that human to guide that
Thank you, Mr.
human.
Buckley.
But their ultimate goal is total control. They want to totally control
Thank you, Mr. Buckley.
that human. They call them surrogates.
Mr.
I
Buckley,
call
you're-
them humans.
Your
The
2 minutes are up.
police and me, we need to unite together and join forces to fight against this evil that threatens
Thank you,
our
Mr. Buckley.
entire planet. There are books out.
Mr. Buckley,
I understand.
We have a
there
lot
are
of speakers
books out
tonight.
that you can read, that you can see. I Am Not a Liar by Dr. Michio Kaku, Future of the Mind.
Mr.
By
Buckley.
Dr. Michio Kaku, Physics of the Impossible. By Dr. Michio Kaku, Quantum Supremacy. Quantum computers are 1,000 times faster than your fastest supercomputer.
Thank you, Mr.
Human
Buckley.
connectomes connected to quantum
We got it.
computers will be the destruction of our planet. The police and me need to work hand in hand to prevent the destruction of our planet.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. The next speaker we have is Dr. Rita Pritchett.
Good evening to the board and to my brothers and sisters in general public area.
Good evening.
I just have a question I'd like to pose to you. And you don't have to answer. I'd like to know how many of you know who was the first woman killed in the line of duty? I'll answer it for you. Her name was Darrell Brandon. She was shot January 24th, 1984. 40 years later, a commander by the name of Melvin Branch completed the task of revitalizing the 3rd District Community Room and to name it in her honor for her heroism. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation in bringing a cohesiveness between the public and the police. I like the idea that was started by then, when I was a police officer, Matt Rodriguez came up with the idea that together we can. Oftentimes when I come here, I hear the public outcry of how a police officer has taken the life of a loved one, but nobody ever talks about the hurt, the family of blue, when one of our loved ones is taken by the streets. So I thank you very much for this opportunity to speak, and I would ask that you always remember the very first woman killed in the line of duty, Darrell Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pritchett. The next speaker we have signed up to speak is Ms. Rhonda Smith.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am a member of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. The one question I have, and I don't know if you guys can answer this, but I'd like to know what the board is doing about these police officers that are committing murder. I don't know if you guys want to call it that, but there's a lot of innocent people, not necessarily criminals, that are being killed. As well, there are people that are innocent that are already in jail, and they've been proven to be innocent, but it's a lot of red tape that keeps them in prison. And what do you guys think about that? Is that right? Oh, no comment. I figured that. But that was the question that I had. What are you guys doing about these white supremacists that have infiltrated the police departments all over? So, all right. That was all. You all have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. The next individual who's signed to speak is Mr. Robert Terry.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm back. I was there, this is the third time in this meeting, so it's been 3 months since I've been complaining about it, that nothing's been done. Again, from the last meeting, December 20th, I sent Chief Novellus the video that I got from the Nickies. The owner of Nickies gave me the video, so now I have the video footage of me being attacked with the sound on it too. So this false report they made on me says that I assaulted 3 people. I got the video footage with the sound on it that says the truth. I'm just demanding my cell phone back from them and putting out my hand, giving back my cell phone, and I'm being attacked. And I showed the video, and I keep showing the video, and I can't press charges against this man. I talked to Novellus after the meeting. He said he's going to assign Dawn Valenti, Victim Services. No, nothing happened with her. I tried to contact her on Facebook, nothing. So on December 31st, I had to go to try to get order of protection and press charges at the 111th Court. Ellie Stewart was the state's attorney. I talked to her. She told me, no, it's not even, your police report that you're showing me is not even on a police computer. It wasn't even added into the computer. So she couldn't pull it up. She told me I had to go to 555 West Harrison to try to get order of protection over there. But I go over there and they say they can't do anything because I don't have the man's name because it's not on the police report because the detective didn't put it on there. And I'm still the assailant on the false report. I want to know how I can get rid of this false report and how I can press charges against this man. I got more, but I know you're going to shut me down, right?
I don't want to shut you down, Mr. Terry. I know you've come to the last several meetings and have talked
Okay.
to the police officers. So I would just say, thank you for keep coming. I do know that if you stay after the meeting and you
I
talk
heard
to
that
some
twice already from you. No offense.
No, I'm just telling you. That's you just got to
There's
keep
more.
banging on the door. Nope, that's too much. You're too
Okay,
much.
I'm going to honor you, but I'm hoping that I can press charges. The Cook County Sheriff told me I don't have to keep going all over these places, that it can be done right here. So why isn't it getting done?
And I appreciate you coming back. I'd stay after the meeting.
I'm gonna
and
keep
someone
coming
will talk to
back.
you. Yeah, please do. Please do. Thank you, Mr. Cherry. The last speaker we have signed up is Pastor Doyle.
Really quick, before Pastor Doyle, my email address is otisthesalesman@gmail.com. otisthesalesman@gmail.com. Reach out to me. I want to work with the police so that we can put an end to the Human Connect Comb project, because it's going to destroy the planet and life as we know it on this planet.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley.
Good evening, President Cooper, new board members. For the record, DOYLE. This land is your land, LANDRY. And again, United States Marine Corps veteran. So, I asked Chief Talley to start with the book that Ricky Smiley, famed personality, has written about his overwhelming grief about the overdose, his son overdosing. It is an excellent read, and if money is well spent for National Mental Health Awareness Month in May, a collaboration of organizations might want to bring Mr. Smiley in, not to do comedy, but to be honest about what happens when your son, despite your best effort, overdoses. And so that's the book Sideshow that's going to the right. So, President Cooper, if you remember my last meeting where I specifically mentioned the Inspector General's report filed against Anthony Driver,
I do.
Sandra Wortham, and Carissa Parker. The print-off of the email that is going to every board member dated December 24th about the department receiving my complaints. I never said anything to anybody regarding my complaints, because at the last meeting, which is on record, I was told by the attorney to the right of you, who claimed after the meeting that I was harassing her. I want that to hang, because that's my character. Including having Mr. Gentile to the right, to the back of me, come in between us. Again, my character. So I'm wondering how the Office of Inspector General has received complaints about the three names who I've mentioned if I've never said anything. Because if you remember, and I thank you for the extra minutes, my character will never be defamed. It's interesting how I received that email that my attorney and members of the city council who are attorneys say is invalid, that someone is lying. Because if you remember the last meeting on the 19th, I was told, or at least shared by the, as backed by the video, that I asked the attorney to the right of you to write it down, and she said, it's on video. So the words that intake specialist, in terms of an email, how can you have complaints from me when I've never said anything? As an attorney, I don't expect for you to get involved. This is just for awareness, because it goes back to my character. Because at the end of the day, this Marine will not be budged by anyone, especially who looks like me, because I'm 4 months into my grief regarding my mother, and this is the wrong time of the year beginning of the year to be a liar.
Thank you, Pastor. Well, that concludes the public comment section of this meeting. Now that all members of the public who have signed up to speak have spoken, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Seeing all hands raised and hearing all ayes, the motion passes and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.